Coming to you, undead from the crypt. This is Adelaide Horror Podcast. Adelaide Horror Podcast with Zombie Joe.
Hi and welcome to the Adelaide Horror Podcast. It's your host Zombie Joe. Tonight's episode is number 36. I'm going to be continuing the international series, so I'm going to be looking at Nordic Horror. And so I'll be covering Norway's 2022 VikingUlven, which is VikingUlven, and 2023 the konferensen from Sweden. Both available now on Netflix to check out. You'll dig both. I really did. That's why I'm recommending them. The horrible mention for this episode is Dead Snow and Dead Snow 2. Zomcom recommendation. Very gory, very funny, just the way I like it. So that's my recommendation for this episode as well. So I'll get straight into VikingUlven. So Stig Svensson and Ebsen Ulven were the two guys that directed and wrote this. Ebsen was also wrote Troll. So also I think available on Netflix as well. So I dug it. I thought it was alright, but I'm not in love with it, but definitely check it out. I thought it was okay. The total cost for this movie and what it made was 57 million. It was Norwegian speaking and English dubbed. Again, available on Netflix. The runtime for this one's an hour and 30 minutes, which is pretty good. So again, character building 20 to 25 minutes and then straight to the business after, which is pretty good. I rate this 9 out of 10. It's a really good film. It's definitely a first-time horror film. You can watch this with someone that hasn't really seen a horror film or not really into horror movies. It's the gore in this is striking but not gross, if that makes sense. You see the gore after the fact. You kind of look at it and then it's gone. It's not lingering for a minute on somebody that's been pulled to pieces. It's quick and it's out. It's very quick. So if you're not overly keen on gore, this is not going to wreck your afternoon. But at the same time, it is gory. So I'm not going to say, oh yeah, it's not gory. Judge how you feel about it. Like how you go. Everyone's different. So just see how you feel about it. Or judge your partner or someone if you're showing them for the first time and you're not 100% sure. Just kind of gauge your limit on what you think you'll be able to handle or not. But I thought it was pretty good. The location from this is Notodden, so Notodiden is where they filmed it in Norway. It's a pretty small cast, so you're really invested in these people that you meet throughout this show. I describe this movie as a love letter to the American Werewolf in London. That's not a bad thing. Stig and Ebsen took their love for the American Werewolf in London and basically made it a Norwegian werewolf in Norway. So it's done really well. You can see the influences of American Werewolf in this, but not to the point where you'll get pissed off about it. You'll actually go, oh yeah, I see what they've done there, and you'll dig it. You'll actually go, yeah, okay. Right down to the end, there's a scene at the werewolf, and I'm just like, yeah, that's straight out of America Werewolf for sure. But it's again not in a bad way. You actually kind of like what they've done with it. It was pretty cool. The only downer I have to say, I mean, the CG's not that great. Now, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I mean, look, if they said, Joe, can you do a werewolf for this movie? I'd draw you a fucking stick figure. It'd look like that horse meme with the fucking, that's what it would look like, so I can't talk at all. So, fucking this guy. But yeah, it kind of looked like a dog. Like it looked a bit weird. Again, I still feel like I'm being really harsh about it. even though I like the movie and the wolf, yeah, it's kind of a bit weird, but I dug the different color eyes it had. I thought that was kind of cool, but yeah, wolf could have been a little bit better. But having said that, that's really the only. It's not even a downer, but it's just kind of, it did sit with me. You know what I mean? Like you as horror fans, when we sit down and we watch a werewolf movie, we've seen the spectrum, the fucking colors of the rainbow of like every single different werewolf presented to us over the years, either physically in a film or with illustrations in a comic book. We've seen different versions of a werewolf. Some are terrifying, some not so much. So in the scale of it, yeah, this sits in the, the first, maybe 5 out of 10 range, being the werewolf, American Werewolf, being like 9, and the wolf from Howl, being in the top 9, 8, and 10 ranking for that one. So that's really the only kind of semi-negative thing I have to say, but I'm not really totally pissed about it, so I'll just leave it at that. Liv Berg plays Liv Majors. Major, I can't really pronounce it. So there's a couple of names here that are a bit hard, so I'll try and get through them as best as I can. If I can't, I'll just have to politely not say them, so I don't butcher their surnames. So Liv plays the mum and the cop of Thale Berg, and Thale is played by Ellie Rhiannon. And so she's in her mid-teens, and the mum is saying, so she's the new girl at school, but hey, out of that on top, my mum's also the second in charge of the Norwegian police in the area. So it doesn't matter geographically, religion, whatever. If you're a teenager and your mum's a cop and you're the new kid in school, you are fucked. Like, so you are a social leper. So she gets invited by one of the guys, Savor. He plays a character called Jonas, and he invites her to the party, and the popular girl Torgensen is not keen about this whatsoever, and so kind of gives her a bit of shit while at the party. So there's got to be the popular girl that has to be the bitch, and that's her. And then there's Jonas, who invited her to the party and kind of becomes Thale's love interest. There's Elliot, and he is Ulven, who plays the sheriff. So that's actually the boss of Liv in the Norwegian police in the town. And Lars, he's Stale Brunhag, and he plays kind of the werewolf expert and hunter in the mid part of this movie. So you dig him. I actually thought he was a great character. Reminded me a lot of the name escapes me, but we all know the guy from Jaws, the bite dude. Talking about the Indianapolis. He reminded of him a lot, so I actually dug his character. I thought it was pretty good. And then there's William, who plays Arthur, and he is the coroner, who then works with Liv through the movie and assists her that way. So there's a party at the start of the movie, and then something kind of goes down in the party, and there's a werewolf attack, and it kind of goes on from there. So that's pretty much where I'm going to go with this, because I can't go into the spoiler territory, because this thing is so interwoven and done really well that if I start actually getting into it, I'm going to absolutely spoil the shit out of this movie, and I don't want to do it. So this is a tale of a werewolf survivor and a town trying to get into the grips of what had happened, and especially since new people have arrived and it's happened. So, and then there you've got the werewolf kind of expert talking about werewolves being a part of Norwegian culture for a long time. So this movie, like I said, American Werewolf in London, love letter in a good way. So you'll dig it in that sense. So yes, so definitely check out Viking Wolf on Netflix. So Konferensen was directed by Patrick Eglund, also written by Patrick and Thelma Moldestan and Maz Strömberg. The cost I couldn't get, wasn't available. It's in Swedish, but it's English dubbed. It's available on Netflix. The runtime again is 1 hour and 40 minutes. Action pretty much. Opening credits is it's fucking great. It gives you a really good preview of the shit that's about to go down. Done in a really clever way with a mini camera, like through a model village. Like I thought it was so. I dug it. I thought it was really good. And then and it kind of gave me. I could chill a bit, kind of going, okay, this movie's going to be good, because the effort they put into doing the opening credits was pretty impressive and something a bit different, and I dug that. I thought that was really good. Again, like I said, the runtime's 1 hour and 40 minutes. Pretty much gets to the business within, I think earlier than 20. Dare I say 15 minutes, and then it just goes right through. And this is why midway through this movie, and same as Viking Wolf as well, I've got to buy these fucking movies, mate. They're gonna go on the shelf. And again, very picky what goes on my shelf, and these two are definitely got a Guernsey for that one. I put this as a 9 out of 10 as well. For the slasher, for the originality of it. Again, thinking outside the square, even though it's your typical horror slasher, survival, who's the final person right down to the wire, but it's not predictable in any way at all. And you gotta love that, because nowadays, let's face it, horror fans, we've seen it. And again, you can just sit there and you kind of go, yeah, that's going to happen. Yeah, this is going to happen. Oh, yeah, surprise, that happens. So now the pressure is really on directors and writers to kind of cut that shit out, and try and shock an audience again that's really kind of been desensitized. Like, we're so used to what we're seeing, and we come back as horror fans to see it. But at the same time, we're a bit finical. We want something new as well that's going to shock us a little bit. And so I found that this movie did that. It did it well. So, yeah, definite recommendation for me onto this one here. First time horror film. Look, some of the kills are pretty gory. And, look, I'd really gauge the person you're with. If they are really squeamish about gory kills, I'd sit this one out. I'd get them a couple of horror films under their belt before they go and sit it. If you like gory shit, right, and some really interesting ways to knock people off, you're gonna, mate, fucking Merry Christmas. This is the movie for you. I really dug it. I was really good. A lot of laugh out loud. Like, I haven't laughed out loud on a few kills for a long time, and I was like, fucking hell, this movie's like really, really good. What actually found it more kind of funny as well was the fucking mask of the killer, like doing this stuff while looking like that as well. And it's probably the worstest combo. Like, for me, mate, it'd be horrible to die like that in real life with something looking like that. It would be terrifying. But for the entertainment folks, for us, it's quite humorous, and they did it really, really well. They've done the scary. They've done the tense moments really well, but fuck, did they pull the comedy? Like, and you could to be able to laugh at a comedy that's not in English is pretty hard. Like, and they nailed it. Like, really, really good. I was really impressed with this one, so definitely check it out. So we got Lena, again, another Jonas, Cage, Ingel, Naja, Torbjörn, Eva, sorry, Nordic ancestors. They're probably like all slapping their fucking. I'm not going to Valhalla. I'll tell you that right now. They're gonna go lock this fucking out. You can't even say our names properly. I'll probably get slapped. Like when. So Lena, is played by Katia Winters, and she's kind of the main character out of the other co-workers. So you've got Naja. I'm not going to say the dude's name again. I'm not going to get hit by lightning. Eva and Torbjörn. Oh, fuck. Yeah, no, I'm out. So these are the core co-workers, right? And they've been brought to a conference. Now, you've got Jonas, Kai, and Eagle. Like Angela, I suppose is the way of saying it. And they're the management team, right? So this is pretty much, if you have done... if you've worked in retail, you know that as a co-worker, you know that there's those people, right? And these are the co-workers that absolutely live up the arse of the middle management. And then you've got middle management who act like they're fucking like running a Wall Street business. You know, wankers, absolute full-on wankers. And these three are classics of that. They have stereotyped the fuckhead managerial team so well. It was. I was laughing at that because I thought they are really taking the piss out of these guys. Patrick and Thomas and Mads have absolutely worked retail at one stage, and they have nailed people that they couldn't stand and turned them into a character. I'm fucking sure of it. I've worked in a few retail areas, and I could sit down and go, this guy, and her are just nailed it to the point. Absolutely hilarious. You hate one more than the other, which is clever, and it kind of means a lot at the middle point when shit kind of try again, starts to go down, and you're kind of rooting for them a little bit, even though they're fuckheads. But like, you just kind of no. Nope, Keeler said no. Anyway, so yeah, I kind of dug it in this. This was an enjoyable slasher movie, comedy, gory horror. The way they did it was so good. You got a mixture of absolutely. The only way I could describe this is as a horror rainbow fucking swirl. This was done so perfect. The comedy, the horror, and the gore all in the one swell, bang. Like, and you've got your. I'm going to copyright that. So it was just perfect, and really enjoyable. And you'll dig it. So the basic premise is this group has been on a minibus and they've been sent to a location that's going to be opening soon for their new store. It's not IKEA. It's kind of, I'd say it'd be like a Norwegian version of, so fucking Kmart or Target, or in America. I think there's Target in America and Kmart in America. Anyway, I'm not going to say it wrong for the American viewers because they're going to correct the shits. But a Walmart, there you go. And the thing, that's it. That's what I was twigging. It's kind of reminded me, comedy-wise, this reminded me of a horror version of Superstore. If anyone's seen that show, it kind of, there was a bit of that in there, like the comedy of working in a retail place, but in a separate camp location. So they got sent on a team building exercise. So Severance is the horrible mention for this one. If anyone's seen that one, check that one out. The same premise, but not a rip-off of it. So you're not going to get pissed off by watching Severance and then this one and go, oh, I copied it or whatever. You will not have a chance of that at all. Like they both stand very separate from each other, so that's cool. And they get sent there, and after a while, pretty much once they're there, they start getting knocked off by this character who has taken the prop of the store and has basically used it against them to terrify the shit out of them and pick them off one by one. So that's when it gets a bit more Friday the 13th on this one. So this is, again, Patrick's a fan of Friday the 13th. They've done a love letter to Friday the 13th in this one. So basically it was like Friday the 13th in Sweden, and done really well. And that's why I picked it. It's just so good. Yeah, so that's conference. 2 recommendations for this episode this time around. So definitely go out and check out VikingUlven and Konferensen. You will definitely like them. I'm very comfortable in saying that you'll like both of these movies. Write back to me. Let me know what you thought of the 2 films. Or if you've already seen it, let me know what you thought of them. And yeah, definitely all good. Cool. Stay scary, and I'll see you in the crypt.
Adelaide Horror Podcast with Zombie Joe.